Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of a Notorious Groupie, and these other books, where you can get that, my merchandise, all kinds of other things, cocktail of the day, beer of the day, all down in that description. So go down, fiddle about, check it all out. And as you can see, you can't see me today. You know why? Because it's another episode with Maree. She's been coming over a lot. And keep listening. I know some things you find a little bit repetitive, but this one has a lot of really cool different stuff where we're just talking. And like I said, she's getting more comfortable, so you guys just respect the fact that she wants her privacy. And I know you guys are awesome. I am so appreciative of how amazing the community here is. So thank you so much, you guys. And to all the new people, settle in. Enjoy the vibe here because everybody's cool. A lot of women here were groupies in the 80s. There's some musicians that sneak about, other musicians. I mean, we are having a great time here. So, and everybody with a great time today with Maree. We are having some mimosas. And we're kind of picking up mid-conversation as we do because, like I said, I just turned the phone on and we start recording. So, you guys grab your sunshiny glasses of champs, kick up your feet, and let's have some cocktails and rocktails with the lovely Maree. Cheers, big ears.
The whole way.
So
I
she
could do
says she's a
something
flash
amazing.
dance girl and she sucks. That's probably why, no, that's not why we got backstage in the 80s. We are ladies. We had Telica for that.
No, I can do something, do it once, and do it spectacular, but you just turn around and ask me, hey, can you do that again? Fuck no. Jennifer Beals the whole way. So I can do it once, but can't repeat it. Can't remember what we were just talking about, but it makes perfect sense. What were we just talking about? Come on.
Oh, God. We were talking about road clicks and stuff like that. Because we were listening to what I had filmed. I'm trying to, because I know it took us on a little journey. But yeah, no, there are people that we didn't, fuck, what were you saying? It's on the tip of my tongue, too.
Tip of your tongue. Don't tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
Hey, but this is fun. Mimosas. Sorry about the picnic party. Left shrimp at home because I couldn't remember if you like shrimp or not. Mm-hmm. You like sushi. We went to a sushi bar, did we not, in New York?
Yeah, we did.
We went to a sushi bar.
Yeah,
we did. Like a couple times because that's like
It was good. It was cheap. It was.
Well, I'm a sushi kind of gal. I could live off of that.
No, I love sushi. I think that's where we first had sushi because it was coming in fashion.
We were talking about before we got on the subject that I obviously could do it one time and then what? Who? Me? What?
Well,
where?
it was somewhere between where I pressed play and, like I said, we were talking about the road clicks. I'm trying to think what we said after that.
And remember, all this you can cut out. And remember, too, that there's something that if you get to a point to where it makes no sense, cut it out. And then we need to do chapters. Remember, we need to do a Zakk Wylde chapter because that, to be truthful, chapter 1 goes all the way back to the very, 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 very first time I heard Ozzy Osbourne. It wasn't with Oh Zakk Baby. It was with Randy Rhoads. And I'll never forget because my dad was, did you like that? And I said, Dad, he sounds almost like a classical Spanish guitarist. And he said he studied. And that's why I enjoy him. And my dad played Spanish classical music. Stuff that most people don't listen to, but it's very soothing. It can put you in a trance, you can meditate, blah, blah, so forth. And that was the one thing that I had told Zakk. No matter how much you play, Betty, you can't play like him because he had a persona that was very, very different than anyone that will precede him, which obviously the one that preceded him before you, I actually personally enjoyed his guitar playing better because he
Randy
was...
or Jake?
Oh, Jake, he was like he was fucking his guitar, and I dug that. Anyone
Oh
that
no,
can fuck
I
their
dug
guitar.
that. I was supposed to
Ooh,
actually
baby.
meet him the night I
mean, of
hooked
course,
up
I
with
met him, and it
James.
was like, ooh.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. I was supposed to meet him. I was supposed to
No,
meet
I'll
up with
change
him
my
at the
mind on that
hotel
But I had to
when
meet him
Metallica
to,
was opening up for
yeah.
them. And I
You
was
had to
headed
meet
over
him to
there,
get
and
to
I
know
was
that.
kidnapped
Sorry,
by
people.
Metallica.
Even
But yeah, actually the same thing. I was like, no thanks. And I met him again with Badlands.
Yep, and then there's someone else with Badlands that met
Ray.
No. Well, let me put it this way.
Antoinette met
There's
Jake.
AAAA. All of you guys are, all the angels in our group happened to meet him and did not want to have anything to do with him because I think we all knew.
His personality was rather
But at that time, by the time
angry.
Badlands came along, that's when hold on, do we need to mute this where he started to get sick?
No, everybody knows that Ray Gillen unfortunately passed away of HIV.
Okay. But I'm just saying that's kind of funny that I remember just the very, very beginning, chapter 1 started with Randy Rhoads, and it was just the love of just the way he played was not technical. It was almost natural. It just sounded so sweet, and it sounded so pure. That's what my dad, and I've never been able to
But it was
hear
with
that.
him, and I get what you're saying. It was with him. Jake, he was more technical, but he was definitely passionate about, and you know, we go back to saying watching the musician on stage is serious foreplay sometimes. I mean, you are just, and I always say, watch Dave Gahan on stage, the lead singer of Depeche Mode. That is the sexiest motherfucking lead singer. When he got off that stage, I was like, get out of the shower, now, get out of the shower, now.
I was with my husband when I went to go see him, and I even had to, woohoo.
Yeah. So watching that musician, definitely a little bit of hors d'oeuvres.
Well, to do that for me. I got to see him on stage, or even see him on video, and it was like, well, he can play every note that Randy Rhoads can play.
It was more of a spar of a personality and a
he
spark.
He could play every note that Randy Rhoads played.
He could,
but he didn't have his charisma. He didn't have his own particular style. He was more like he reminded me of Thor.
So much more
each time, but no. No, definitely every time. The passion was there, but it was almost too much. There was no sensuality there.
It was brutal.
Yes.
Compared
whereas
to the
in
sensual.
Jakey Lee was sexual, and then Randy Rhoads was sensual.
And look at Dave Gahan, absolutely sensual. Look at, even there's some sort of brutal sensuality to James Hetfield.
I think James Hetfield reminds me of raw fucking Viking. Sorry, all the way through. He picked you up, and what did he do? He
tossed
threw
me
you
over
his shoulder. I mean, there you go. It matches exactly what I could see him doing.
I loved it.
And I could actually imagine the look on your face at the time, because I know you. And it would be like, what the? But at the same time, what the?
Seen my knickers before you would have seen the look on my face, my ass up over his shoulder.
Blonde, blue-eyed, handlebar mustache, nice body.
Well, and you know what? He was not my. Like I said, I was supposed to go meet Jake. I was so excited to meet Jake.
I'm grateful now that you didn't.
I was so happy. Well, I'm glad I didn't either, because I just started talking to James, and it just. That energy, that click, it was just like the same thing with you and Zach. You and Zach definitely had that sparring.
Let me tell you. It was definitely
you were that
he
yin
won.
and yang. You were that yin and yang.
No,
honey, you won. It was your decision when you decided. That's what these girls don't get. It's not about letting the boys have their way. It's I'll get to you when I feel like it.
Well. That's another story, and that's another chapter. But that's when that chapter began. It all began when my dad happened to be playing a record, mind you. And I still have that record. And it was Ozzy Osbourne holding up Randy Rhoads, and it was just amazing. And I remember asked him if I could go to that concert. Mija, you're only 12 years old. Oh, Dad, but it's Randy Rhoads, Dad.
At least you got to see him, though.
Dad, no, I didn't get to see him. And so we bought the ticket, and he happened to pass away.
Crash.
Now, of course, all within that same, the same year? Leonard Skinner, and I hadn't really gotten into Leonard Skinner yet until years later, which made me sad day because it was like, again, I was able to go see United concerts. $9, or was it $7? I'm pretty sure it was $9. No, it was probably $7. But the skinny old little tickets, and yeah. And so by the time that Zach came into town and I got to meet him under the circumstances, blah, 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 we'll go into that in probably, like I said, several chapters later. It was like, dude, you're no Randy Rhoads, and you're definitely not Jakey Lee. Sorry, to be continued.
And that's what sparked him on. Because, ladies, it's not, like I said, previous groupies make it seem like they have to worship the rock stars. For us, we were on equal footing as the rock stars. They were
chasing us.
They were chasing us. Yes, absolutely.
They were like, who?
But we were always in control of the situation. If we wanted you, we were going to have you.
Do you remember when other girls would try to come around and they would they wouldn't even let them near, because it was already done. It was chosen. It was figured out.
Well, because Salt Lake was someplace where every band definitely had, whether it was a musician, roadie, every tour definitely had certain friends in this town.
It was a haven.
Yeah.
It was a safe haven.
They took 2-3 days off here a lot of times. Think about it.
Oh, people took more than that. Back in the day, I remember when people would take a
Do you
long
remember
time sometimes.
Probably the last time we ever hung out around.
But
bands was you too.
I haven't done it in many.
Yeah,
many.
like you came out and you had drinks with us.
I always like to come out and have drinks and like hang out, and then it's like poof, gotta go, because unfortunately I'm married. I shouldn't say unfortunately. I'm married, and fortunately I should say that because he is what kept me grounded. And again, that happened way before he was even close to in the picture, because by the time I was done with school, I was kind of over most of it, and then that's when you were more, in my opinion, that's when you were getting to your infamous stage, and you went to Seattle, and then from Seattle you went to Vegas, and you were rocking it, and I loved it.
I was just out there because I just sort of went to these places.
But that's when I kind of shut down and became
Kristen
a mom.
and I went to Seattle together, but it was very polarizing because she moved in with her boyfriend. So that was kind of a hard situation to watch her, watching me still go out and she's stuck at home. And, we had a really great, awesome 2 weeks before we moved up, and she's such a free spirit. And it was kind of hard for her. So that was a tense time. But when I got to Vegas, that was like, I didn't even know I was going to move to Vegas. I had $1,000 in my pocket and had no clue. I got off a plane. I'm like, well, I'm going to be working probably at Little Darlings. I'm going to audition, but I need a hotel close to there. So just go ahead and take me. And it was just, I didn't mean to move to Vegas. It just kind of accidentally happened. But we were already all well known before, long before.
You were pursuing a career that was it was just going a little bit different. Sorry.
I didn't pursue it. It just happened that way.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I just figured out
stripping just sort of happened that way. I just sort of got shoved that way to do shows, to be in the Moulin Rouge, to do the magazines, to do this, to do that. And it was just
the
like...
limelight.
The limelight.
The limelight. She was always in the limelight, guys, just so that you know. And the funny
part about it is... But see, I see all of us as having been... Because we were our own entity, and we were in our own limelight together. And I think our energy worked really amazingly together. You know what I mean? It was more of a kismet. Because like you said, we have Danny, who is more the hippie. We have you, who is our warrior princess. There was me, the Virgo Earth Queen, but was still more... I think I was the more one that kind of instigated things. And Kristen was more kind of, she's the Scorpio. and very confident and
I
very
think
bold.
Yes, Kristen's personality, she reminded me of someone that just was out there, said it the way she wanted to say it, and put forth herself. Maybe sometimes
and she was very good and sensuous at flirting and getting out there and stuff. As to where I was more kind of a snarky, smart ass, kind of a joke of a flirting. You're more of a graceful flirting, and Danny was always that hippie chick kind of, she would give you the sunshine flirting type of thing, you know.
She was definitely our sunshine flower girl.
Still is.
Yeah. Well, really?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen her for... I'm trying to think about the last time I saw her, and I'm trying to think, really, if I... Really?
Well, we'll arrange it so one day we can all do this together, because she did Metallica episode with me about the car wreck.
And so everybody knows we're going to have a little future podcast where we're going to start doing some displays where we have to have some times where we put everything together, and not just, this is Allie's, this is mine, I'm going to put mine with yours so that it's combined, so that people can get the whole story of what
plus
happened.
we'll be having call-in when we do the podcast. It'll be more of a call-in, so we can bring forth a topic that day. But I like being able that we will be able to talk to people, be able to.
Well,
Quit feeding me the mimosas, Maree.
That's going to be the fun part, and just remember that it was all in fun. And for anyone that tries to, let me put it this way, anyone that starts accusing, anyone that starts challenging, I tend to think of that as evil. I'm a godly person. I'm a godly woman, so that you know. So doing everything that I did, some people might challenge that and say, you're ungodly. Look at what you did and what you...
But was Mary Magdalene?
Who were you running around? Mary Magdalene, not even going to that, but... Well, yeah, because you know what? Jesus is the one that loved Mary Magdalene.
I believe in human beings allowed to be the human being that they are. And if they're not being Jeffrey Dahmer or, Catholic priests that did bad things to kids or stuff like that, I believe in letting human beings be human beings. And there's, like I said, we're still slut-shaming women. We're still putting women down. Not we've never done that to each other. We've never done that to anybody else. We've always held our dignity in the lives we've led. Every single one of us. And I think that was one of the common factors we all had. We all had our certain dignity about ourselves. We were in control of the situation. We were nobody's arm candy there for a photo op. We spent a lot of years. Like you said, you spent 20. I spent 30 definitely active. Like full on still playing the game.
Actually were, because I didn't even start. The first concert I went to, again, didn't get to go see Ozzy Osbourne, because that was a, blow in the fucking everyone's kicker on that one. And no one thought he would get replaced. And of course, again, look at what Jakey Lee was able to continue.
Pretty to look at, not nice to talk to.
But he continued, and then, of course, now, again, Zakk Wylde was able to outperform Jake, because of the fact that he is not, he's not a drug addict, so he's going to be able to do that. He has his own issues, but, that's him. But going down to, no, I forgot what we were talking about. Sorry guys, we're drinking mimosas and we're having I brought over very fancy
rolled
stuff, and it's just very fancy.
Legal in
it's
some
almost
states,
like Dutch,
like ours, but
it's Delft. We're smoking Delft.
Yeah, it's like going to Amsterdam up in this place. I loved being in Amsterdam too. On my especially when I was there on my way to Bahrain, when I got stuck for 24 hours and I was by myself in Amsterdam. I had so much fun. I just got to run around. I went to the coffee house. I found a couple little small museums with, the Van Gogh house and stuff. And
that's when you should have had a layover for
after that, every time I went to go see Sala after that, I would stay there for a day or two. I'd just book me in Amsterdam for a couple days So I just go there and I just hang out because I love the architecture. I love the history. And like I said, you have Rijksmuseum. You've got the Anne Frank. I oddly enough never went to Anne Frank's. I smoked a little too much weed. But now, if you're a tourist, you can't smoke weed. You have to be a citizen.
Well, I'll tell you what. When all this stuff pans out, I think we should go to Italy. I think we should.
I need to go to Florence.
We just go to Europe somewhere and disappear for a while.
Well, no, I want to disappear to Spain, but I want to go to Florence because I haven't been to Florence. I haven't been to Florence, and I really want to see.
Go to Greece.
My favorite book is Murder of a Medici Princess. I think I was her in a past life, maybe. But I want to go to Florence, and their courthouse.
I could definitely see you as
royalty. The palace where she lived. Her name is Isabella. Really great book, Murder of a Medici Princess. But she's part of the Medici, the later part of the Medici Empire. But yeah, and I haven't seen the David in real life. I've been to different parts of Italy, Milan, whatever. But I haven't been to Rome, and I haven't been into...
I'm just saying we should go and travel.
We just
when
get a ticket and go jump around the Euro rail.
Let's just go
get the first class
train,
cabin for ourselves, so we can have our own little space. Because you and I definitely
can't have any more.
We can coexist in the same space, but we can't have other people coexisting in our space on the train. So I think that's good.
I can go tiny.
I
just have to leave everything behind.
I want to actually retire somewhere. I can't decide Barcelona or Sitges. Somewhere in between.
Barcelona's nice. I could do Barcelona. Oh, I like that bed. I love that bed. It's round, but it's like you can step down and the dogs can. I love that bed.
Yeah, that is a cute bed.
I would take him too. He's kind of cute. He bounces a lot. Keep him.
I've got to find someone that's cute and bounces a lot.
But I'm just saying that definitely. The thing is that we wouldn't be able to have pets. At that point, pets would have to be kind of ceased.
No, you can bring your pet with you now.
Well, one. I would take, I think
I only have one. I have Beluga.
I know, but I have 3. I've got to wait. And the thing is Sugar, let's just hope she hangs
Dan's
in there.
We're leaving Dan at home, so...
Well, the thing is if I can get enough of this to go through, because I'm going to work on my memoir, which, of course, that's just a psychiatric strain.
It is. Now you see why I only wrote about rock and roll. And not because it's what everybody skips over the pages.
Is exciting and
and I tell people all the time it's not. Oh no, it's not exciting and glamorous the whole time.
From what everybody wants to read,
there's
what the fuck. From what everybody wants to read, everybody wants what you were saying.
There's death for crying out loud.
All they want is sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And that's why the book is the way it is.
Now mine is going to go to fucking end up a Netflix fucking series of some sort. My testimony, sorry people, and with that, again, this is what people dream about. This is what people say, I wish I could have done that. Oh, I wanted to do that. And I remember the people looking down on us, waving up, saying, hi, but no, I'm sorry, I can't bring you down because you know what? It's me plus 1. We always had each other's backs. We always made sure we were on the guest list. And that's why this is so important for me to get signed, because it's going to involve all of us. And it's bringing us all back together, which I think is really great, because I've missed that magic. Not just of what we had together as groupies, but as friends and as women. And how we supported each other as women. Oh, hell. Regardless of what that was, I know that I believe that we all each had different friendships in different areas.
Absolutely.
Well, in different areas of what it had evolved to. But it's I'm good. And it changed over the years. But again, look at our lives. I mean, we have one person that had 4 children, another that has a child like myself. Probably not as old as mine. Mine's going to be 35 this year.
Friendships or friendships as a whole get between
my
anything. You know what I mean? We didn't let the friendships disturb the other friendships. You're what?
I didn't want to. Try not to burp.
Oh, she was all embarrassed because she burped. I burp all the time. They know.
I know, but it's just
They
like,
know.
you know,
It's
it was going to
cocktails
be a
and
belch. It
rocktails.
wasn't going to be a burp.
And when Maree
And
comes
I'm
over,
checking on
we are
this
having a
dude that
few.
has a fucking look.
Don't
it's
say
tattooed.
that. Don't say the G word.
Oh, the G. Okay, well, he has a tattoo on his head like it's hair.
Oh yeah, we have the TV on and silent in the background. It's the old school auction hunters.
I can't stand it. But you know, going back to, you have to remember too that all of us were very, very different. We all came from different backgrounds, except for, of course, you and your sister.
But we all shopped at Nordstrom.
There you go. Again, Contempo will always be one of the... Oh, you guys should. The tree.
But see, this
Ours
is
are
why.
just like the stems.
Okay. This is why it's so important for me to get the book signed, because then it does open the doors.
That's true.
For everybody else. And you can choose what you want it to be, just like we always did.
Well,
and that's one reason, like I said, with Happy Madison, I think it's important with that because he built this company with his friends. And I saw him with those friends. And I saw their brotherhood, and I saw their camaraderie, and I saw them partying together. And I saw us the same way that our friendships were dynamics within those guys. And that to me is really important because that, if we're going to do this, that's the number one thing to get, the dynamic. And we have to find the people that fit that dynamic to play us. Because that's very rare. People don't understand it these days because there is such a separation of the internet and not the same human contact and energy that we used to have.
It's a different story now. You have to remember that the 90s,
80s, 90s.
Well, you go back to the 80s. I'm talking 40 years ago, and by a long shot.
Shut your mouth. That's just rude to say 40 years.
No, it's the truth. And by the time all this stuff comes about, it's going to be 50 years possibly. And if you go to that time frame, it was a long time ago. That's like you're thinking Back to the Future stuff, and Back to the Future stuff was only 30 years.
But see, now it's think about. Oh, honey, no, it was like 5 days ago.
I know, but seriously, for us, when again my first concert was 13. But I didn't start.
See, I met my first rock star before I went to my first concert.
My first groupie experience was Autograph. And it was just, we just happened to go. It was one of the, the girls were, it was high school. We lived, remember, you lived in Salt Lake. I didn't live in Salt Lake. I lived all the way in Clearfield. I lived in Clearfield. Yeah. I mean, and that's where I grew up. I actually was a Hillfield Air Force brat and then moved to Clearfield. And so whenever we would travel, I mean, for a long time it was bus stuff. But then when it actually came to the concert thing, it was, oh, okay. So came up to a concert, went to Autograph, was the very first concert. And so that was 1980, I would have to say 84, because I graduated in 85.
Same year I met my first musician before we moved here.
And then Billy Squire was right after Autograph. Billy Squire. And I didn't give a shit about Billy Squire and his orientation. It was like I just met a freaking god. Not a god, sorry, Lord. I definitely met an angel that came down and was playing for us. And just the amount of passion that man played and how he performed was just amazing. Again, like you said, Depeche Mode, you don't get that very often. Jake E. Lee, you just get to see, and I, to this day, didn't get to see Jake E. Lee in Ozzy Osbourne because my face was being smashed in and my face was being rearranged.
She got pushed into the stuff at a concert and fell in. This is why groupies don't stand out in the crowd because it's dangerous, and especially up against that gate because it's metal and you can get bashed in the face with that. Yeah. Or like at the AC/DC concert when we were standing on the side of the stage and watched those kids get crushed to literally the end of their lives.
See, and I didn't go to that concert, which is odd because, again, my attorney actually called me and said, it's a shame because those people, I'm not sure if anybody knows this or not, that I don't know if I should say this out loud, but those people got, at that time, and this is at that time people, they got 30 plus million. And that was...
Yeah, they split it up against them. And it mostly came out of AC/DC's pockets. And it should not have. And here's why. because JC McNeil, our local promoter who thinks JC stands for Jesus Christ, released 900 tickets, GA tickets over fire code. So if you guys are at a concert and you see the FOH board, which is a soundboard out in the crowd, you see the crowd starting to kind of get thin back there, and there's not really anybody back there. You can breathe, there's air. There's a reason for that. That's fire code.
Mm-hmm.
And that day at ACDC, and you were lucky you didn't go because we had a great time the night before partying, just a little bit of the white lines, whatever. But so it started happening. Like I remember looking out at the crowd and seeing it filled all the way back to the general admission at the Salt Palace, to those doors where you entered, and those two backstage sneak away hallways. It was packed all the way back on general admission. I was like, and we were looking at it like this, and I remember asking a couple of the guys, because I wanted to see who are those guys that King's X was opening up for them, and I wanted to see those guys. So Danny and my roommate Kim and I were all out on the side of the stage. Boucher was back there too, but she wasn't on the stage.
I remember Boucher.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's a whole episode. Link is down in the description. But yeah, it started going on before. And I remember, I still picture this blonde girl's face, straight blonde hair. And she's just like, get me out of here. And she was probably 5'2", 5'3". And she fortunately got pulled out of the crowd. And you could just see them starting to buckle before AC/DC went on. And AC/DC was warned, but you know, AC/DC paid the majority of that money.
You know what, guys, just so you know, again, I'm the person that got Brian Johnson's hat from 1982 for Back in Black. And I mean, it was an awesome concert, and this is back in the day where there was Yellow Jackets and you could grab something like that and they were protected and they could run through the crowd. And then
they still do
like
sometimes. They still do.
But no, the sad part is that something like that happened, and you know what? It's Bologna. It shouldn't have happened. It is, and again, when it comes down to the actual artist, they should never.
Jason McNeil wanted to make a bit more profit.
Jason McNeil was an asshole.
Because we happened to walk up and get our passes when JC was there, and they were releasing the extra 900 GA tickets that day, and they were like, the girl was like, well, isn't that a lot? Aren't we over fire code with that? And he was like, doesn't matter, just release them.
See, and that's why
they never asked us to testify. They just settled out of court. And this is why, because there was their production manager that we know, Jake, that was everybody, and it was, and you know, at the time it was true. They're not going to believe the Salt Lake City sisters. They know who you are in this town. Groupies are sluts. We're dumb sluts.
Wow.
And plus, they had people at home, and
I can tell you this,
we would have been a messy situation.
I can say this because, again, my mouth was involved with the Ozzy Osbourne concert back when Jakey Lee was playing with him and Metallica opened for them.
That was the night I met James.
There
you guys
go.
Have heard that.
So that you're aware that when it comes right down to, I remember Mr. King was my attorney, said you shouldn't have settled for the 10 grand that I settled. And he said, why? Because these people just got 30 plus for the people that had passed away at the AC/DC concert.
No,
and
the
my
people
reaction,
at AC/DC did not happen until January of 1990.
My reaction was, sir, I could never see gaining from that a band that I adored and loved to this day.
Yeah.
I felt bad because my mother made me do this lawsuit only because my tooth went through my lower lip, people, and they had to reconstruct my lower lip. Now, you can look at me today and you would never know, but I am grateful for the Lord above that made sure that I look the way that I do. If not, it could have happened in a form to where I would have been disfigured. I was not disfigured. However, that particular incident caused me further damage to my other teeth. So I am still pissed off to this day that I fell over that concert, but it wasn't JC McNeil's fault. It wasn't the concert. It wasn't AC/DC. It was the fucking kids that decided to do what they at the time thought was cool, and they called it the wave. and the security guards could not control him. So it wasn't even J.C. McNeil's fault. So me personally suing, I did sue, guys, but I only got like a $10,000 check, and I agree. I'm sorry, I deserved it for a tooth that is still missing. Here, I'm taking it out so Allie can see.
No, don't. It freaks me out when you do
Still
it.
have a missing tooth, and then it destroyed 2 other teeth. So I deserved that 10 grand. And those people that lost their children, that amount of money would never pay. So when people like to go sue Happy, you know, Jason McNeil does. Even though he sold more concerts, they fucking did it to so. Excuse my language. They did it to so many. They did it to so many concerts. I can't even remember.
But JC's an ass. He's a greedy ass.
And when
that's
it comes
why
down
he released those tickets. If he wouldn't have done that, that wouldn't have happened.
Correct. But when my situation, he didn't sell any more tickets. It just happened because it happened, people. And it happened because kids used to think it was a fucking fun thing to do. Excuse my French.
To shove towards the stage.
Yeah. Well,
so don't
it was
shove towards the stage, people. Just enjoy the fucking night. Enjoy the concert. Meet people in the crowd. Hover around each other. Don't shove each other out of the way. Because that's what the 80s was about. That's what music does. Music is supposed to drop the barriers, not crash them in.
And you know what's funny is that kind of stuff didn't change even in the 80s. It didn't change in the 90s. It didn't even change until around the 2000, around the millennial time is when everything started to change, because I think it was liability, and of course they wanted to tear down the old Salt Palace, which was a complete shame because the Delta Center does
They
not
made
get
the backstage like 40 feet down or 30 feet down because we don't want the groupies getting to the band. We're like, oh, bitches, you know they have a hotel bar, right?
Which was just across the street.
And we can still stand there where they see us and they're like, ladies.
The hotels, they don't change. They just tear some down and they rebuild them. I need your restroom.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, so, we had to take a pee break for Maree, but here's where we are. We were just having a conversation about, excuse me. So we just had a conversation about the Bark of the Moon poster with Ozzy sitting on the throne and the 2 girls down at the bottom of the throne. So you guys have heard me talk about, because people don't realize just really truly how competitive the groupie scene, especially in Salt Lake City, the groupie capital of the world, was in the 80s. So you've heard me talk about the Lisa Susan chick with her friend Trudy that hated us, that would try and talk shit about us. And I was telling Maree that Lisa Susan, I can never remember her name, is actually one of the girls in the poster with Ozzy bowing down in front of him.
No, it's Lisa and Susan.
No, her name was either Lisa or Susan. There was only one.
But there's 2 of them. I remember Susan too.
No, you're thinking probably the triplets: Sophie, Susan, and Stephanie.
Maybe.
Sophie was in New York though, so it's only Stephanie and Susan.
Who was the girl that worked at K-Bear? That was
Trudy.
But then Trudy also had a friend
that was her name,
brown
Lisa
hair.
Susan. That was her. That's I can never remember her name if it's Lisa or Susan. Lisa Susan. That's why I call her that.
Oh my God.
And I saw her years later in Vegas at the Hard Rock when Aaron Smith was in town, and she was still wearing those same black leather pants and zip from belly to butt crack. I mean, all the way around. It was so.
Okay, this is a woman that is probably, I would say,
she works at the complex.
She's at least.
I see her once in a while when there's a band that I go to.
I'm a little bit on the tall side, so I'm about 5'8". She was probably 5'3", at least 5 inches shorter. I remember she stood next to me one time, and I had my heels on, so that made me over 6 feet. That's why a lot of guys liked it, because
she was taller than me.
No.
Because even when I saw her in Vegas and I had my heels on, she and I were eye to eye, and I had platforms, she had regular heels. The Lisa Susan I'm talking about, but because she was still there, even in like early 2000s, when I was wearing the, Tom Ford, she was still in those same zip around with her big 80s hair. But now she works at the complex here in town, because the times that I've gone to, which Ty Burrell owns, the actor, he owns a lot of places here. But just like Post Malone does, people, you guys don't know, Salt Lake City is a fucking hub. But so I was walking in there. My friend Robin was there with Anthrax and everybody. And Robin she plays in Gruesome, but she's a bass player. She's really awesome. Check her out. But anyway, so she happened to be here, and I remember walking in and looking over, and there was Lisa Susan, and she just stopped with that wide-eyed look, and I'm like, got my pass on. I'm like, yeah, you're the hired help now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you guys, she talked a lot of shit about us.
She was just, well, and the thing is that I never personally paid attention to it because wherever we were,
we
she
never
was there,
dished it back.
But she was there in a different form. She either was hanging out with people that she knew from the radio crew, or people
no,
that
she wasn't. She was a groupie. That's how they got their jobs at K-Bear.
Well, but sometimes, I mean, she would hang out with Trudy and blah blah and whatnot. But
that's
just
how
like
Trudy got her job at K-Bear.
Well, Trudy was just like, she never asked, how did you get your pass? It was like, well, you know how we
Trudy
got our
was
pass.
the nice
one.
one. Lisa Susan was the bitch. Yeah. Trudy was cool. She was at least cool.
I like Trudy, but I mean, Lisa just, like I said, she wanted to fucking be me, and it was weird. I mean, she had to turn on and fuck some of the same guys I did on the local scene, and I had to stop that. So I had to stop fucking certain people because it was like, come on, you don't need
she
whatever.
She tried to get Zach after you. But this was after...
Please tell me she didn't.
Oh, no, of course she didn't.
Oh, thank you, Zach. I mean, I hope you have some standards.
I mean, let's face it, as far as Lisa...
you saw my picture.
As far as Lisa Susan was concerned...
I was a spring
chicken. And this is nothing
then.
Because we've all dated roadies, we've all dated rock stars, we're all part of the rock family.
And
she was mostly a road crew kind of girl.
Well, and she's also 5 years, I think.
And there's nothing, like I said, you just have chemistry with who you have chemistry
60s.
with.
Right now, she's got to be in her 60s. Trudy was my age.
Yeah,
so
she was definitely
55,
older.
57.
She was trying to tell Johnny, the lead singer of King Cobra, that, oh my God, she's only 16 years old. I'm like, I am 18. Here's my ID. Even my high school ID says I'm 18.
Well, I mean, you're, 5 years younger than I am? So there was... 4. There was an age difference, but I mean, she's like 5 years my senior. That makes her 62.
Well, because every generation of, generations of groupies don't last that long. Ours lasted longer than other people's.
And what was her name?
Most people. Bochet.
Bochet. I remember Bochet when I was just a little fucking youngin'. A little youngin'. And then the two twins that used to tell me that I remember.
Oh, with the dark hair and the light hair.
Yes, I remember them. But they were all the way back from like the early 80s.
Troubadour, the night I hooked up with Len.
The Troubadour. I remember the Troubadour.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. The thing is that again, we need to follow an outline, but this is good so far. At least it gives a little bit of insight. Name different, specifically that group of people, which, like you said, they are a completely. They were the radio people, and then these were the people that were coming in that were
like Bochet and
older
Lisa
than
and
us.
Trudy and them. They were the groupies that were on the scene before we showed up. And when we showed up, they were like, the musicians and the roadies were like, ooh, new girls.
Well, autograph.
And we were like, ooh, new boys.
84. So I have to say that was my first pass, 84, 85. And then again, my big pass, my big one was Motley Crue. Girls, girls, girls. It was 86, and it was just like,
So
I just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
And this is what I always say, like,
Right
Maree
place,
and
right
I were always backstage at the same concerts before we hung out and we'd see each other. And we were the two people that we never bothered each other. We were just like, oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, we'd have a conversation and treat each other nice. We'd be on the same bus at the same time. But people want to say I'm a bitch because I do talk about how catty it got in the 80s with Lisa and the previous girls, and how Bochet was busted telling Kelly Nichols. LA Guns was opening up for Def Leppard. She had a long thing with Kelly Nichols, a couple years. They were seeing each other on and off and in and out of LA and stuff. But then there was this roadie, this little short English bald guy with dark hair that she was seeing from Def Leppard, and they happened to be on the same tour. And ladies, this happens to us all. But so she told Kelly she had to go pick up a friend at the airport and went from the Holiday Inn, the one that used to be off the freeway at 6 South with the little putt-putt, to the Marriott down off West Temple to go hang out with the roadie guy and go have dinner. And we happened to go with Richie and Kristen and Savvy and Kelly and a couple other people back to the Marriott. And as we were going to Richie's room to smoke weed or whatever, all of us with Kelly, she came out of the roadie's room with him and was busted. So ladies, if this ever happens, you have to make a choice. Either you choose which guy you're going to hang out with more that you think will not dump you when he finds out that you might have slept with this other guy, or you just don't go on that tour at all.
There you go.
Like, I was invited to Castle Donington one year, and it was like all these bands like Megadeth, David Lee Roth, Poison, Kiss. I was like, nope, not coming. Metallica's in town anyway.
Well, and you just don't want to mix certain pleasures with others. Right?
Well, it's a very careful balancing game because you're out on the road with a rock
The
star
nice
in a
thing
city
is when
that
they
you're
came
not.
in one, you got to do back to back. Back to backs were the best because they
Literally.
would come in and then it was like the next day you had really no time to recuperate, but you had
Like I said, May
back.
of 1988, I'm surprised I could walk by the end of the month. But no, I mean,
Okay.
it's like I've been in other cities with rock stars where they had other girls that they might have seen a few times that they had a friendship with. Whatever. But I'm in Chicago and the girl shows up at the bar and she's like, hey, you didn't call me. And he's like, oh, this is the friend of mine. This is my girlfriend. Even though you're not the girlfriend, but you're the groupie out on the road. So they give you that respect. You know, that happens. And when you're the girl out on the road, they're your ticket home. So you just breathe in, breathe out. At least you know they're not going to hook up with them because you're there.
Right. Oh, it was all done in fun anyways. And as long as people think of it that way, that it's always all done in fun. And it should be, again, not seize the day, but capture the moment. Because truthfully, there's only going to be certain moments that I'm going to remember out of each concert that are going to make the moment. Meeting RuPaul. Never forget his opening line and just the way he looked at both of us. He went, oh
But
my
see,
God.
New York is like up there in
And
the
you
top.
two are not
It's-
from here.
It's probably my number one rock and roll adventure.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just
definitely.
rock and roll. It wasn't just Def Leppard. It was Duran
But
Duran.
it's not just that.
It was the Club Kids. It was RuPaul. It was the business guy that just swept me away for a couple days.
But then
It was the limelight. It was
the
all
moment.
of it. Ricky Rock. It was everything.
my whole thing
Just
is
being these free little spirits and running fucking wild.
my whole thing is the moment. That moment, I'll never forget the look in that man's face of how refreshed when he saw us both. I'll never forget dancing on top of speakers with Pantera and the camera coming around and me hiding my face behind my hair and you two just
I'll never
being
forget
beautiful.
walking up to one of the backstage where the buses are and you holding up the Jaeger and me holding up the bag of weed.
There you
And
go.
here they come. You know, like I said, we call it bait.
You know, what was the name of that little club that we met those guys from Def Leppard that was behind the old Cottonwood Mall? Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And they tore it down. That was where we
But
met
David Lee Roth was there. That was probably one of the last times I hung out with David Lee Roth.
There was a couple bands that
Was that one of the ones Corey owned? Because I know he owned the one.
think so.
He owned a couple in town.
I think so. What was the name of that place? And it was a nice little club because it was round.
I almost
The
want to say
dance
it was
floor?
the playground because there was a
No.
slide or something there.
Oh,
Because there was the one that he sold. He sold the property and now it's some really high end. Because it was there that one on 9th East and
I'm surprised
33rd
he
ish,
hasn't done a book.
39th.
oh my God! I'm getting hungry. I gotta go eat.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye.
Like 6:30.
She's hungry, Maree, and trust me, you need to feed her.
I'm getting there.
It's like when I have to wake up to an alarm clock. I'm not real friendly.
Okay, bye.
All right. So everybody, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, hit my bells. We'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.